What's up, Angry History Fact fans? Today we're gonna do Charles the 12th of Sweden. Let's start. The Charles the 12th of Sweden was born on 17 June 1682 in Sweden, in 3 Kronor. It's a castle in Sweden. His mother was Ulrika Eleonora of Denmark, and his father was Charles XI of Sweden. And Charles XI of Sweden had won the Battle of Scandinavia, and Charles XII was born to be a military leader. His father's father, Charles X, invaded Poland and defeated Polish and Russians many times. So he had the military in his blood, many people said. Charles XII's growth was not normal. His father died when he was 15, and before that he was very spoiled child, or not spoiled in that way, if you think in money. He was spoiled that he always wanted to fight. He always wanted things to be dangerous. He wanted a dangerous life. He had many sisters, but in Sweden at that time, the first born male of the family would become king. And when he got power in 1697, when his father died, he became king at age 15. And he said a very famous word in Swedish, if you can translate this. He said this very often: mitt ord är min vilja, och så ska det ske. That is the Swedish translation. It's a Swedish, Sweden, but it said in Swedish. A very famous quote. When he got power in this court was very weird. He often took a live rabbit and just spun around it in the court and just took pistols and fired at it very often, just to amuse his guests. And he often did many pranks with his friends, to just take off many cloaks of all the people and just taking the soldiers, throwing food at them. Before the Great War started in 1700. And he one famous time went with his cousin in Stockholm, the capital of Sweden, still is. He just rode out and with horses, which break every glass they can see. They were very drunk at this time, and the soldiers was forced to take him into the castle not to start killing people. And that was his reign when he was king, and then the war started. When a great war started in 1700, Charles was very eager to fight. He took money and soldiers for all the Swedish Empire, from Sweden, Finland and some German states, and from Livonia and Estonia. And he brought an army and defeated first the Danes at Humlebeck, and then he invaded Denmark and made them capitulate. And then he defeated the Russians at Narva, same year as 1700. And then the Poles were defeated at Riga by another general, but it was a Swedish victory. They defeated the Russians, then Danish and Polish armies in 2 battles in 1 siege. Then he went to invade Poland. He landed at crossed the Duna River into Poland, and then he celebrated. He won many battles in that campaign. Most famous was the Siege of Thorn. He had 36,000 men against 10,300 Saxons, and he killed 4 times as many in the siege and made them capitulate. 6,900 Saxon soldiers became prisoners. He also sieged Grodno in 1706, and destroyed half or 2/3 of the Russian army. In that, 70,000 men was dead, captured, wounded, or died of disease. A big disaster for the Russian army. Then in 1706 he made the Polish surrender, and he put a puppet king in Polish throne. Then in 1708 he went to invade Russia. He started good at Halvesvich, and first he defeated them at Grodno, then Halvesvich, then other places. And during the whole war, he won totally the battle. He led 26 battles, were very top 10 of the most won battles by a commander in history. But he got wounded. He got hit in the foot during the campaign, and he just hid it from his generals and officers. But then the knowledge said, and he wanted to amputate it, but he said no. He said, you want me to only have one leg? You're stupid. And they just took the bullet out of some days, and some months later he could walk again. But he led his troop personally in the Battle of Poltava, 2009. So he got defeated, and he got defeated with 1,000 men to Ottoman territory, and they just greeted them with open arms because Ottomans hated the Russians very much. So they just kept him there for a few years, and he led Sweden from there. And he heard about the Danish defeated Helsingfors in 1710. Sweden congratulated the general and made him a major general. And when the Russians tried to wanted Charles XII, the Ottomans had no, and then invaded Russia. Russia invaded Ottoman, but they were surrounded. Peter the Great had an army of 6,000, but there was only about 250,000 Ottomans, and they could easily defeat them. But they just made a peace treaty with the Ottomans with the Russians and made them go away. They could have captured or killed Peter the Great, but they didn't. And Charles XII were angry at that. 3 years later, they paid him very much money, millions of dollars to get the money to leave the country. And then he took the money and said they want more. Then he became a skirmish bender. When 30,000 Ottoman soldiers attacked Swedish army at Bender with 1,500 men. And the all Swedish soldiers lived like kings in Turkey. They all had great wine, great food. They all have very great women to them, and they are very battle-hardened. Why it is so long, so they were sworn for a fight. The first 1,000 men surrendered because they when they saw the Russian army, when the Turkish army, and then the rest fight on. Charles took 45 men in the house, and you stayed there. And when actually broke a promise when his grandma died in 1707. He promised he would in 1700. He promised that he would never drink more alcohol, but when he was so thirsty, just beating and killing down the Turks. So he took it was only a glass of wine standing there, so he drank it. But he was not famous for drinking. And also during camps and war, he often he said he often took a soldier because he was scared for the night, and he took soldier run on a soldier to sleep in his tent. And he has no record of him doing things with women. Many people think in today's that he was homosexual, but that's not confirmed. But it's no record of him doing anything with a woman. And he was very good at battle and winning. He only lost 3 battles in the whole war that he led. 1 against Russia and 2 against Danes and Americans. And the skirmish at Bender cost him over 100 Swedish soldiers, but over 1,000 of Turkish soldiers. They captured him, and then they just let him go, and he ran back to Sweden. And then he came to the last city he would ever be in, 2 years later. On the 20th of November 1718, he brought 40,000 men to siege the city of Fredriksten. When he besieged about 6,000 American soldiers, and the Swedish were winning. They were firing guns and many Norwegian started to seize. But on the 30th of November 1780, he actually looked up. One officer said, "Don't look up, you can get shot." They look up for a trance on night, and they hear the thing like this, a sound. Then the king was dead. Charles XII of Sweden was dead. He was shot in the head. We don't exactly know who did it. Some people think it was Norwegian soldiers who fought it. They fired a shot, and some others said it was Swedish soldiers that was sick and tired of the war. That he just keep going, and one that was sick of it just wanted to not fighting. Then he died. He was buried in Riddarholm Church in Stockholm on 26 February 1719. He is considered one of the greatest Swedish kings in history and one of history's best generals in battle. Please hit that subscribe button and like button, and please comment what you do next. Have a good day.